Hello, my name is George Gossage, and it's with great pleasure that I get a chance to share with you information about a remarkable water technology out of Japan. It's a technology that's had a profound effect on millions and millions of people over in Japan, and we now have the good fortune to share in that technology here in North America. 9 months ago, a very dear friend of mine out of California introduced me to a water called Kangen water, and it's a water that I had never heard about. But I was fascinated with the testimonials and the stories that I was hearing coming out of Japan and out of Southern California. And my interest in the beginning was solely as an end user. I wanted to find out if this Kangen water would help me with my back condition. You see, when I was 18 years old, I actually broke my lower back. I broke my L4 and L5 playing basketball. And over the course of 27 years, I have developed a horrendous arthritic condition in my back. It was so bad that my doctors often commented that if he didn't know that that MRI belonged to me, he'd swear that it belonged to a 70-year-old man. That's how bad that disc degeneration had developed for me over the course of 27 years. Now, after doing 3 days of exhaustive due diligence on this technology, I decided to buy a product. I decided to invest in one of these machines, and I started to super hydrate my body with this water. And here's what happened with me. 7 days from the time that I started to drink this water, I woke up and 90% of all that stiffness, that soreness, that aggravation, and that pain that I had been living with for 27 years was gone. And needless to say, I got very, very excited. And unless you've had lower back pain, you probably can't identify with what I'm saying. But anybody in chronic pain, I think, can relate to that statement. So for me, it's been a life-changing experience. As a matter of fact, I'm doing things right now that I've not done in over 25 years. I feel better than I ever have had as an adult. And as a side note, as a result of drinking this water, I've actually lost over 20 pounds of body weight, 4 inches off my waist, and I actually weigh now what I weighed in high school. So through that experience with this Kangen water, I'm going to share with you a little information about our company. And the reason I'm standing here before you is because this product or this water has changed my life in every way, shape, and form. And I got very, very excited about it. And in my opinion, this is a technology or a water that the world needs to know about. So what we're going to do here over the next few minutes is I'm going to take you through a little history about our company. You're going to get a chance to understand where we come from. And you know that old saying, talk is cheap. So what we're going to be able to do is we're going to take you into a live demonstration where you can see with your very own eyes some of the effects that this water can have on you and your family. So that being said, our company tagline is change your water, change your life. And if you think about it, we all understand the importance of drinking water. The only question is what kind of waters, is it that we're drinking? And even the waters that we've been led to believe are good for us, you're going to find to be the contrary. Now, this Kangen water that we're going to talk about, that's a Japanese word. Kangen means return to origin or reduction, if you will. And although Kangen water is relatively new to North America, it has a huge history in Japan that actually dates back to the mid-60s, where the Japanese Ministry of Health and Welfare approved this water for a variety of different ailments. Now, it's not uncommon to find this technology on a much larger commercial application, literally through dozens and dozens of hospitals and medical centers, and we're going to share with you information about our residential model. Now, the name of our company is Enagic. We formed in 1974, so as we speak, we're 32 years old, and what's awesome about this whole idea is the fact that we control the entire process from A to Z. What I mean by that is not only do we do the research and the development, we do the design, we do the manufacture, and we actually control the distribution all the way to the end user. Now, this technology that you're going to learn about tonight is actually approved and sold as a medical device in Japan, and again, it's approved and sold as such by the Japanese Ministry of Labor and Welfare. We're also members of the DSA, which is the Direct Sellers Association, and that's your governing body of anyone that's who's who in the direct sales arena. We're a debt-free company, and last year, through word-of-mouth referrals, we generated over $250 million, or better than $250 million in sales. Now, what you're looking at here may not mean a whole lot to us here in North America, but in Japan, you're looking at an endorsement by the most prestigious nonprofit organization of its kind, known as the Japanese Association of Preventive Medicine for Adult Diseases. And what's interesting here is that this organization only endorses one product per industry. What you're going to learn about tonight is the only water-related product that this a nonprofit organization has ever endorsed. Now, when you compare cultures, when you understand how Japanese look at healthcare versus how we look at it here in North America, it's a whole different mindset. In Japan, they're very much into prevention. They're not interested in putting Band-Aids on wounds. They want to find out what the underlying causes of those diseases or those conditions are and deal with them head on. Whereas here in America, we've been conditioned to treat symptoms. I mean, this is a fascinating read by Ray Moynihan. It's entitled Selling Sickness, and it's basically going to talk about how the world's biggest pharmaceutical companies are looking to turn us all into patients. And we all know, guys, we've been conditioned to treat symptoms here. If my head hurts, then I know to reach for the Tylenol or the Motrin. If my stomach hurts, now the latest phenom is this, or the latest craze is the purple pill. And all of those do nothing more than treat symptoms instead of addressing where that situation or where that problem is dealing with. And just a few short months ago on the cover of Forbes magazine, look at the title here, Pushing Pills, How Big Pharma Got Addicted to Marketing. And it talked about the fact that drug firms have tripled the ranks of salespeople to 100,000. That's one seller for every 9 doctors. Now, what you're looking at here is just some footage in terms of what's going on in Japan. Literally 3-4 times a week, thousands of people are coming out to learn about the remarkable effects and benefits that Kangen water has to offer. Now, in 2003, we actually started our expansion into the United States. Our corporate U.S. headquarters are based in Southern California. We've also got offices in New York, Illinois, and Hawaii. We've opened up Canada a few short months ago, and we've got very aggressive international expansion plans to the tune of 20-some-odd countries here over the next 2 to 3 years. Now, as you're doing your due diligence and as you understand what it is that this water has to offer, Kangen water has 3 very unique characteristics that no other water in the world has: antioxidant, microclustering, and alkalizing. And we're going to talk on each of those properties here just momentarily. Now, if you understand what happens when you cut an apple in half, 20, 30 minutes later, that apple will start to brown. That's a process called oxidation. And you see that very same process of oxidizing is going on inside of us, which is why we need antioxidants to slow that oxidation process down. And you see, it's that oxidation that's going to wreak havoc on your cellular DNA. It's that oxidation that's going to be responsible for the aches and the pains and the arthritis that I had, or the premature aging, or the sickness or the disease, or ultimately our demise. And again, the key is we need to slow that oxidation process down, which is why any healthcare practitioner on the holistic side or any health food store is going to be touting the advantages of antioxidants. And that's one of the interesting characteristics of Kangen water. It has amazing antioxidant properties. As a matter of fact, when you drink Kangen water, it has a negative charge, and the free radicals, or the oxidants that are inside of our body, have a positive charge. So think of this water as a scavenger water, if you will. The more of the water that you drink, the more of the free radicals it's going to bind to and enable it for you to flush it right out of your system. Now, this is an interesting slide. We're going to talk about something called oxidation reduction potential, okay? And what that simply means is that all liquids that we put in our body either have a positive oxidation reduction potential value or a negative. And the long and the short of it is the higher that positive ORP value is, the more oxidizing effect that liquid will have on your body. And as you can see from our chart here, soda ranks at the top of that list. Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, you're going to see Kangen water, and Kangen water is the only water out there that has a negative oxidation reduction potential value, and the higher that negative ORP, the more beneficial that liquid is. What you're looking at here is a picture of our company founder, Mr. Hironari Oshiro, along with his U.S. advisor. Now, normally when I do these presentations, I will ask the audience, you know, if you had to guess, how old would you say that Mr. Oshiro is versus his U.S. advisor? And the typical response is somewhere between 40 and 45 for Mr. Oshiro, and somewhere about 65 to 70 to his U.S. advisor. The ironic thing about this, though, is the fact that both of them are the same age. As a matter of fact, both of them will be 66 years old here in 2007. And I think we'd all agree that Mr. Oshiro has figured out a way to slow that aging process down, and whereas U.S. advisor, I don't think has been quite as fortunate. And I've had the good fortune to meet with Mr. Oshiro privately, and I asked him, I said, Mr. Oshiro, you've obviously figured out a way to slow that clock down. What's your secret? He shared with me with the fact that he believes in simplicity, but also he said that if there was one unique characteristic that he could attribute to the way that he looks and the way that he feels, it's the fact that he's been drinking Kangen water for the past 15 years to the tune of about 4 to 5 liters. Now, prior to him starting in Agic, Mr. Oshiro was a major player with the Sony Corporation. As a matter of fact, he was one of the leading distributors in all of Japan. Now, again, because of that negative oxidation reduction potential value of the water, as a result of that, that water now has potential to become an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory properties, as well as anti-aging properties. Now, as I take you through this presentation, throughout this, we're going to actually refer you to some books. Since 9 months ago, since I got introduced to this technology, I've been reading book upon book about this technology, and it's absolutely amazing what I've found. Here's an interesting read. As a matter of fact, if you want validation for today's subject matter, this Kangen technology, this is a fascinating read written by a Korean scientist. But look at what he talks about in this book. Removing acidic waste is more effective than diet and exercise, and that's what we're going to be talking about, is a technology that actually can help to flush your body and rid itself of all that acid waste that's sitting inside of us. Now, the second characteristic of this water is the fact that it has amazing microcluster technology. And you see, as this water travels through our machine, with the touch of a button, we can make 5 different kinds of water. Now, one of the benefits of that, as well as the water travels through there, is the fact that that water molecule cluster is broken down into microclusters. And the importance of that is that this water, because now of its smaller size, can penetrate you at the cellular level, so it's going to hydrate you unlike any other water in the world can. And when you look at the fact that your body is comprised of 75% water, again, we all understand the importance of water, but the question again becomes what kind of water it is that we're putting in our bodies. And even the bottled waters that we've been led to believe are good for us aren't necessarily that good. So what we're suggesting is, instead of drinking bottled water and the soft drinks, to simply switch to Kangen water. And again, understand our tagline: change your water, change your life, because that's what's going on for literally millions and millions of people all around the world. Here's another fascinating read written by Dr. Bat Mangalich, who happens to be an MD. And in this book, just look at the title, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. Think about what he says here. You're not sick, you're thirsty. Don't treat thirst with medications. And on that note, as a society, we are severely dehydrated. When you understand the fact that on average, we only consume 1 quart of liquids a day, which will include your juices, your teas, your sodas, your coffees, and what little water we might get. But on the flip side is we're actually losing anywhere from 2.5 to 3 liters of water every single day. So needless to say, if we're only putting back 1 quart and we're using up 2.5 to 3 liters each day, then we're moving toward the dehydration side of that scale. And the more that your body gets dehydrated, the more problems you're going to have down the road. Now, the third property of this water is the alkalizing property that it has. And you see, we all have an ideal body temperature, which we all know is 98.6. We also have an ideal internal pH, which is 7.365. Now, what we're going to talk about here for the next minute or two is a relationship between something called acid versus alkaline. And unfortunately, because of the lifestyles that we lead, what we drink, what we eat, you couple that with the environment that we subject ourselves to, add to that all the stress, be it emotional, be it financial, we as a society lead an acid lifestyle. And when your body's acidic, it's absolutely prone for the premature aging, the aches aches and the pains, the sicknesses and the diseases. Now, on the flip side, what they're finding is when you can get your body pH on the slightly alkaline side, that's the perfect environment for that unlimited energy and that vitality like Mr. Oshiro, who in my mind actually is a walking billboard for what this technology represents. And before I move on, understand also, cancer now has overtaken heart disease as the leading killer in this country, and what they're finding, anyone that has cancer, invariably their bodies are loaded with acid. And on that note, what I'd like to make sure that we're all clear on here, we're not saying by drinking Kangen water that it's going to cure or treat any kind of sickness or disease. We're not saying that by any means. What we're suggesting is that the more of this water that you drink, the more of the acid waste your body's going to be able to flush or rid itself of, and as a result of that, you're going to help to bring your body back to that balance or that homeostasis, if you will, and as a result, your body itself is going to make the necessary corrections. In other words, Kangen water is one of the most vital tools that you can provide your body to make the necessary corrections that it needs to make. Now, here's another fascinating read, and I think just looking at the title, Alkalize or Die, to me, it summarizes it all. And this is written by a Dr. Theodore Baruti, who's got some amazing credentials, but look at what he says in his book. All disease comes from the same root cause, too much acidity. And again, talking about, why it is that we're so acidic as a society, 80% of the foods that we eat are acidic. And when you look at this list, we're not suggesting that all of those foods are bad for you. Take, for instance, blueberries and salmon as an example. We know those are good for you, but they tend to have an acidic effect on you. So the whole idea here is to drink a lot of this water because it's going to help to rid your body of that acid waste. And just look at some of these lists here over to the right of your screen. When you've got too much acidity in your body, it could lead to conditions like GERD or acid reflux, arthritis like I had, fatigue. The number one complaint in doctors' offices today is lack of energy. Well, guys, I mean, it's impossible to have the amount of energy that you're looking for if you've got too much acid waste in your body. We talked about the fact that cancer is the leading killer in this country. Look at obesity. I mean, obesity is just running rampant in our country. As a matter of fact, I mean, all you got to do is look around you and you're going to see 2 in 3 people are overweight. And on that note, earlier, I talked about the fact that I lost over 20 pounds of weight and all the body fat around my midsection is gone. The reason is because when you can rid your body of that acid waste, your body then is going to naturally start to melt pounds away. And the reality is when you've got too much acid in you, your body actually wants to keep that fat that's sitting around your stomach, as an example, to protect your vital organs from that acid waste. And as soon as you can rid your body of that acid waste, the weight just tends to come off. And the weight loss stories that we're hearing about Kangen water are absolutely incredible. And this book, by the way, is written by Dr. Robert Young, who's a world-renowned microbiologist. But in there are just some fascinating before and after pictures of, before somebody got to the alkaline side of the equation and after, and the weight loss stories are absolutely incredible. What you're looking at right now, you may not recognize his picture, but I promise you're going to understand what it is that he's famous for. You see, Dr. Hiromi Shinya is a world-renowned MD. He invented a procedure back in the mid-60s called the colonoscopy. As a matter of fact, he and his team, they've scoped over 300,000 colons, and I've seen some remarkable video footage with him and his team where they actually scope colon after colon after colon, and they can tell you based on what that camera shows, what kind of lifestyle you've been leading, what kind of foods you've been eating, and as a result, what kind of diseases you've got going on inside of you or that you're going to be prone to. What I'm going to share with you here is just the 3 pictures from that DVD. And before I do that, understand Dr. Shinya is a major, major fan of our company, and he's a huge time proponent of drinking Kangen water. Now, take a look at some of these pictures, before and after. And I'm right here in Pennsylvania, and I promise you what you're looking at there on the left-hand side is not the sewer that belongs to this house. It's actually a picture of someone's colon. And more likely than not, that's what most people's colon looks like. And the reality is, if you don't have good colon health, it's impossible to attain the proper overall health that you're looking for. But look at some of the before and after pictures. And in fairness to Dr. Shinya, he does recommend some dietary changes, but he also talks about drinking 4 to 5 liters of Kangen water every single day. Here's some more footage. This is a picture of a 45-year-old female, chronic constipation along with breast cancer. But again, just look at the before and look at the after. And I apologize, I realize that this footage is graphic, but guys, it is a reality that we have to pay attention to. Now, speaking of sewers, here's another picture. Just look at the before. Look at the before and look at the after, only 3 months after treatment. Now, I don't think this guy needs an introduction. Late night TV, especially, we see him all over the country. Kevin Trudeau, he wrote 2 phenomenal books. One is called Natural Cures That They Don't Want You to Know About. But on page 77 in this book, he talks about when your body pH is alkaline, no illness, no disease. I want to repeat. When your body pH is alkaline, no illness, no disease. He goes on to further say that every single person that has cancer has a pH that's too acidic. And so, what we're going to talk about now is the technology itself. This technology, at the touch of a button, can take ordinary tap water and can make 5 different grades of water, each of the waters having their own uses and applications, if you will. And you'll find that this water actually varies in pH from 2.5 to 5.5 to 9.5, all the way to 11.5, which actually brings me up to the next part of our presentation, and that's for you to get introduced to the star of today's show. And it's certainly not me, it's the technology itself. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to actually move on over into the kitchen, where we're going to actually be able to take a live demonstration and show you right before your own eyes what some of the interesting properties of this water is, and then we're going to break down the machine itself so you can get an idea how it does what it does. Thank you. All right, what I'd like to do right now is introduce you to the star of today's presentation. And as I talked about, it's not me, it's this actual machine itself that Enagic makes. And what we're looking at here is the SD501. And let me just take a moment here to explain to you how it is that this technology actually works, and then I'm going to take you through a demonstration very similar to the one I saw 9 months ago, so you can actually see with your very own eyes what it is that this water has to offer in terms of benefits for you and your family. Now, what I'd like to do is, first of all, take you through the process. You see, what happens is, what we're going to do is we're going to take ordinary tap water, your ordinary tap water that you have an unlimited supply of, and we're going to push that tap water through this white hose. And the first thing that's going to actually take place is the water itself, your tap water, is going to get filtered. As the water travels through this filter right here, we're going to remove all the impurities, the rust, the leads, the chlorines, and all the impurities in the water, and what remains behind are the minerals. The calciums, the magnesiums, the sodiums, potassiums. And as we all know, first of all, our body needs the minerals. As a matter of fact, our body needs the minerals more so than vitamins, but we also need those minerals for this next stage to occur. You see, behind this filter are a set of 7 massive electrolysis plates, and it's these plates that actually create the magic to the water, if you will. As a matter of fact, what I'm holding in my hand is a set of those 7 electrolysis plates, and think of this as the engine. This is what's actually driving this technology, and the secret to the grade of water is, as the water travels across these electrode plates, what it's going to do. Because through a process called electrolysis, we're going to take an average water molecule and we're going to split it into a negative ion and a positive ion. Now, the negative ion water is what the Japanese refer to as Kangen water, and that's the water that we're going to drink. And the Kangen water is actually going to travel through the top of this device here. Now, simultaneously, that positive ion water is going to actually travel through this secondary hose, and we're going to talk about what kind of water comes out of that here in just a second. Now, as you initially start to drink this water, we don't want to shock our bodies with too much alkalinity, and as a result of that, you're going to actually start with 8.5.
Water 8.5.
As you just heard, there's a built-in microprocessor that's going to tell you all along the way what kind of water it is that this device is making. So when you initially start, we're going to start with 8.5 or 8.5 alkaline water for the first 2 weeks. From that, we're going to go to
Kangen water 9.0.
Kangen water 9.0. And here we want to stay for another 2 weeks, and then after about 30 days, this is whereabouts you want to stay at.
Kangen water 9.5.
Kangen water 9.5. And so again, for the first couple weeks, we're going to start at 8.5. We're going to ease our way into this alkalinity and then go to 9. And then after 30 days, we're going to stay at 9.5. And this is the water that we want to drink and saturate our bodies with. Now, when you press this button here,
Clean water.
now as you hear, the device is telling you that we're making clean water. Now this is water that's actually been filtered, except it's not been electrolyzed. And the reason you'd want to use that water is on 2 separate scenarios. First of all, if you've got babies at home, I mean, when the babies were born, God made them perfect. They don't need any more alkalinity. So as a result of that, if you were to mix, say, a baby formula, you would do it with the clean water. Also, if you've got somebody that's taking medications at home, because of the solvency properties of this water and the microclustering technology, you'd want to take your medications with clean water. You wait about 30 to 45 minutes, and then you can have as much of the Kangen water as your little old heart desires. And I'm going to actually take you through a demonstration with some tea here in a few minutes, so you'll get an idea as to why that is the case. Now, when you press this yellow button down here, this water carries with it a pH of 5.5.
Beauty water.
The Japanese call this beauty water or sansei water, and water that has a pH of 5.5 is absolutely awesome for your skin and for your hair. As a matter of fact, most ladies buy something called toner at $20, $30, $50 a bottle, and the purpose of toner is to bring your skin's pH back to that balance. And here, with this device here, you can take ordinary tap water and make an unlimited supply of it. And again, this water is absolutely awesome for your skin and for your hair. Now, when you press this button down here,
Strong acidic water.